So I'm kind of getting in here, and I want to refine the little house, so I can bring the sky around it, and, you know, watching the time. I'd like to bring some of the light across the road and possibly put the strip up. So I'm just gonna tighten up this little house here so I can paint behind it. Just paying attention to what the colors are doing. And illuminating some of the windows. The windows in the house are beautiful because you can see the water behind it, or at least the suggestion of the beach. And sometimes I'm obedient to what they have. Tonight I'm just gonna kind of muck around with it a little bit and let it be. Probably when I take it home, I'll tweak it and make it a little bit more like what I'm looking at.
You know, when you buy an oil painting, you're kind of worried that the customer might put their fingers on it for the next few days and ruin it. The acrylic, you don't have to worry about it. It dries within hours and it's done. So you don't have to worry.
It's done. Yeah, and even if, this would be, if somebody got water and took this out in the rain, the water would wreck it because it's cardboard, really, So that would be the one thing to watch about. But if I was selling it and it was raining, I'd wrap it. So, you wouldn't have that problem. Yeah, and I've been in a lot of art auctions where I've seen people, get their wet paint, say you do a wet paint and they sell it that night. And just look at them putting their hands so close to it. I'm thinking, you're gonna wreck your own piece you just paid for. So I know you can't get up here and see what I'm doing. Feel free to come closer if you want. I'm just, like I say, tightening up this house a bit. This to me is where the whole piece slows down. Like I feel like, okay, we're at a good speed, massing everything in, and then it feels like it almost grinds to a halt. Slow down and really start studying what I'm creating. I'm actually using purple in this house. It will relate to the road, and purple's a great color to use in shadows. It will, it'll appear really nicely. I don't want it blue, so I'll make sure it is purple.
I also noticed you don't spray your acrylics.
No.
Like I always spray mine to keep them a little bit moist so that they don't dry out.
Oh, is you working?
Yeah, the more.
Yeah, I work fast.
I can see that.
So they really don't have much of an opportunity to dry out.
I work pretty slow. No comments back there. Yeah.
Earlier you said the first layer you put on fast. Are you doing another layer, like on the street?
No, I suppose what I meant by that is I lay up my idea quickly, and then it just starts slowing down. I get into each detail, and things just really slow down a lot because I've got to, really start to tell the story.
So, for example, that road, you probably just put the yellow fog light lines or whatever. You're not going to redo the blue.
That would be last.
So you're not going to do the blue again, though.
Oh, I'm done. This is too see-through.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You are putting another layer on it.
Yeah, I'll keep building this up, but it will never be thick. I never work thick because it doesn't really call for it. I'm gonna work thick. I'll use a canvas or masonite board that I've gessoed, and a lot of times palette knife. If I'm going thick, I'm gonna go thick.
Like impasto?
What's that?
Like impasto?
Impasto, yes, exactly.
It's usually that thick thing.
Yep.
That's why.
And that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A nice challenge.
If it's done right.
Well,
Or as best we can get it.
trying it and enjoying it counts too,
It's that's the excitement in the whole thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Always take challenges.
absolutely.
You never progress.
Well, some people like to stay in a comfort zone.
Nah, I was fine with
I can't. So I want some of that morning light popped into these windows. Yeah, probably nowhere else right now. I want to get the road on a little bit. I'm trying to think of the things that I could get on that will show you where it's going to progress to. So I'm making purple again with phthalo and phthalo blue and alizarin crimson. And I'm going to, since it's purple, I'm gonna use its complement of yellow ochre, tone it down a bit. And I'm also using lines of direction. I'm not painting across because I want this road to have that feeling. If I paint like this, the road will lay flat, and I want you to have the feeling of rushing, like you're rushing up that road. And so just the lines of direction. You may not even see the lines of direction when I'm through, but on this board, a lot of times the marks stay, and I like to let them stay. And I'm dying to put that light across the road. I really try to find work that I can get a lot done on for demonstrations, you know, so that people can see more of it. It's not always easy to choose. What I come across with this shadow, the shadow is actually, I believe, the light from the house, the shadow from the house, because the morning light was so, the shadow was so long. It was very early. I think this was about 5 o'clock, you know, on a summer morning. And I prefer this easel. This is my easel of choice. I don't want to build a French easel.
Even in your studio?
Even in a studio, I have a studio easel, stationary. But this is my favorite easel of all. It's light. I can, you know, it's so light, and it sets up fast. And in the wind, I've seen my friends' French easels blow over.
Yeah,
This has spikes. You
I
put
can
those
see that
spikes
on
down
it,
into
yeah.
the ground, and it's not going anywhere.
What about the middle?
What about the middle?
All the stuff in the middle, doesn't that flow over?
I put a rock on it.
Oh, okay. Smart issue.
Find a rock.
High tech.
Yeah. You know, nothing but the best. I'm gonna put a little pink in this here
Can
and
you see?
try to add a little heat. And if I put it in there, I'm gonna find other places to put it. So I suggest that perhaps there's more pink than just there.
I can see, Susan, how you can build your timber up so great, your quality, your style. If you look at all of your works here, it all has the same quality to it. You have your own personal style. So when people see you, they can say that's a Susan Kneeland. You know what I'm saying?
I'm trying.
You have it. It's right there.
Yeah, it's you know, that comes with a lot of practice.
Yeah.
Do you find certain places where you sell your work, do you find more sold like online and in galleries or?
I don't sell online, believe it or not. I designed my own website. I can count on one hand how many have sold off of that. I do my best with gallery representation. Galleries I have really good luck with. And a lot of times things sell off the studio walls, so I have my work up in the studio because why not? And you know, the different foot traffic that comes in. It might be a parent, it might be a student, maybe somebody comes to drop something off for someone and they're up. And I've found over the years, if someone stays, and a good gallery will do this too, if someone stays and they're captivated by your work, and they stare at it and stare at it, and they don't buy it and they walk out, you take that piece and you move it. And then maybe a few days will go by or a week and they'll come back to see it and it's not there. And they realize, oh, I should have got it. And they'll go, what's that? You had that piece? And I'll go, oh, it's over there. And believe me, they buy it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people don't realize what it meant to them. You know, and then they think about it and go, why didn't I get that?
Yeah. Good one.
Slow time.
That's a good sales tip.
Yeah, oh yeah. And a good gallery will do that for you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to kind of get that light on there. I'm gonna put a little cobalt blue out because cobalt will allow some of my other, it adds a richness and a depth to the purples. I'm not gonna use much. But I love the feel of putting cobalt in. You'll see right away, see that richness. And it's a little exaggerated. And right now I don't care because I will be building up a little more.
Does stand out a little bit.
It does, it pops, and if you're up close, colors like that, they'll add dimension that you kinda don't realize. Another color I don't have out that I'm putting out is mixing white. The titanium white is a heavy, solid white, just like it is in oils. Titanium white initially was called lead white, so you can imagine how heavy and opaque it was. And then when they learned to get rid of the lead and how to get titanium white is as solid as lead white. And so if I'm doing a portrait and I try to use titanium, it turns the person Band-Aid colored. So in oil painting, you would make your skin tone, and if you wanted a white, you'd use flake white.
Like one.
In acrylics, if you want to use a white in a portrait, you use mixing white. Very, very, very see-through. So I want to get this a little lighter, but I don't feel like I want to repaint it a zillion times. So I just put this mixing white out. I'm grabbing, a pretty decent amount, and watch what happens, like almost nothing. I'm gonna put it on, and it just brings some light in, but it doesn't take away what I did. And I can put a little more up here. And it lets the undercolor show through. Because my value was dark on there, and I want to start to refine it more and more. The road is my star, so tonight, it's not gonna have the full beauty that I would intend for it to have. Some of the Bainbridge, some of the illustration board is showing through here, and I really like that look. It looks pebbly and gritty, and it's pink, so I'm gonna leave that. And I'll put the white stripe on, just so you can see what that's gonna look like. So you think it's a white stripe, you go to paint it, it's not a white stripe. It's actually, if I squint and look, it seems like cobalt, phthalo, and white. So I'm gonna try that.
Your brushes, are they all what they call acrylic brushes, or do you have like some oil brushes in there, or?
I use them for both. And anybody who says you have to have separate,
Yeah.
you don't. You have to wash them well, and you can use them for everything. I use the Masters soap. It's a conditioner, like a leave-in conditioner, like you'd use for your hair. I clean them. I have a sink. You ever see those sink drains they sell at Home Depot? It's like a screen, and you'd put it in your drain. Well, I have those. You turn it upside down, get your Masters soap on your brush, scrub it back and forth right up to the ferrule, and rinse them. And then you put it back on and you leave it and reshape it. You could use them for everything. So if you take care of your brushes, they're interchangeable.
When you say clean it, would you clean it daily? I mean, considering you paint daily?
Yes.
Okay. Just once a day, in other words, yeah.
Yeah, and I can switch to, you can switch to whatever you want. So they're for both. As long as they have a long handle. That's not dark enough. Long handle brushes.
What else would you use flake white for, or?
Well, it's not flake in acrylic, it's mixing white in acrylic. Skin tones, I just put it on this to make, it's when I wanna make things lighter, but I don't wanna make them stark white. Again, titanium is not see-through, so when you put it on, it's strong. Suppose I wanted to bring light back here. I'll show you what would happen. Here's titanium. Suppose I wanna cut that. And I can't, I've got dark and I want it to be light again. I put my titanium down refine my edge. Have a little blue on the brush. And I'd let that dry. I'll show you the difference if I used mixing white in the same way. If I can get the blue out. So mixing white. See, it's, if I rub it,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
see-through.
Yeah,
It's transparent.
So that would be kinda nice to put right over this. I don't lose what's under it, and it amps it up in light. But it's not good for, you know, wiping things out, if I wanna totally get rid of something.
'cause I've only used one, like, Permalba, I use Permalba.
Oh, I love Permalba.
I do too.
That's a good white.
It's a butter white.
Oh,
Yes.
it's so
Yeah.
nice,
I love it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's the only white I use, really.
that's a good white.
An oil painting.
In
Yeah.
oil,
Yeah.
yeah.
They have Permalba black too, but I never bought it. Have you seen it?
I have seen it, but I don't usually use black, I
Mhm.
usually mix my own black.
Yep.
I gotta tell you though, I think it's Mars black, if you mix that with yellow ochre, you get this incredible green.
Yeah,
Really?
That's
yeah, black and,
incredible.
yeah,
Yeah.
black and yellow make green. We were just talking about that. I was just talking with someone about that.
I never use black myself, if I want black, I always mix either burnt umber with ultramarine blue.
Yeah.
Because the ultramarine blue is a transparent, and it looks like you're looking into shadows instead of looking at black. You know, it's great, so.
I like working with black. Chubby. I like working with black. Master artists use black.
Oh,
Vermeer used black. Monet used black.
Yeah.
It's just that if you leave it by itself, it absorbs light, so you can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
I know a lot of artists that use black.
It's. I love
You know
black.
Steve Greco? Steve
No.
Greco? No, you know Steve.
I know of him, I don't know.
He teaches
I don't
my
know whether-
class at the senior center.
You know Steve, yeah.
Yeah.
Steve is great, he's an incredible artist too, he uses black, so I don't condemn anybody for the color choices and the palettes.
Oh, no, it's just that I taught, when I first started painting, I was taught not to use black.
Yeah.
Make sure
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
right. And so I just got so used to
Me
it
too,
that,
Yeah.
yeah,
that was my school.
And the colleges won't let the kids use black.
yeah.
Not now, but in the old days, they would, I suppose they'd make it easy for the younger people to start off with. I have almost the same palette you have, Susan.
Yep.
The dual primary, and it works beautiful.
Oh yeah. You don't need more.
Nope.
I mean,
Even
every
that-
once in a while I'll get a sap green.
Yeah. Now, you were talking about, and please forgive me, you said burnt sienna is, what's the word?
Fugitive.
Fugitive. I never knew that.
I
I know
didn't
that
either.
Prussian blue, or the old alizarin crimson is fugitive. I never
Alizarin
knew-
crimson is, ivory black is, burnt sienna is.
I just know that about burnt sienna.
Fugitives mean when you use it, like for instance, if you use like the old alizarin crimson and you paint a barn, it's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be red. But you know, over the years after a barn ages, the
Yeah.
color diminishes, that's fugitive. So when you paint a barn with alizarin crimson, it's gonna look like an old barn in a few years. Fugitive colors don't hold. They, especially, you never put a painting in direct sunlight anyhow.
Right.
But especially, even if you have it in a well-lit room like this, it's gonna turn fugitive on you. It's not gonna be the exact color you put down after a few years. Some people know it and use it, for that, though, so.
And
I
just so, just for the heck of it, so you can see, this is where, I mean, I'd slow it right down and really start getting the details in. I'd probably have this done in about, I don't know, 2 more hours, just slowing down. But I do wanna take, because I want conscious of time,
Oh, you don't have to wear it.
I wanna take, and put a little bit of the colored pencil on. I use Prismacolor only. Oops.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. And, just to kind of show you, I might tighten up that, side strip with it. You know, I kind of, the shape isn't right, so now I'll just go on and I can reform it a little bit.
Is the color still wet, or,
Yeah, it's a little tacky.
and does it matter? with the Prisma?
Not to me.
Okay, well, fair enough.
No, cause look at what it's doing, you
Yeah.
know, it'll work. I want that I want that like whiter, I'll just kind of push and let that be. And then, I'll run up the other side with a blue and then go over it. I think I brought indigo. I did.
So if you submitted this somewhere, would that be a mixed media?
Mixed media, yep. Yep, that would
Would
have to
someone
be.
really be able to tell that you'd use pencil on that?
It does make a little different mark because of the way it coats over the, texture of this. I don't know, But
You're supposed to be honest.
Yeah,
That's for all
yeah.
the artists that are
and I don't
contributing,
care
so-
that it's mixed media, you know, I think it's more interesting. And you know what, there aren't a lot of people that do mixed media, so a lot of times that puts you in your own place, you know, like, oh, it's
Yeah.
mixed media, we only had 3 of those entries. I'm taking that blue ribbon now.
Not in the moving
Strategy.
guild, not in the moving guild of artists. We mix everything that doesn't come under a certain amount of people in that category, automatically goes into mixed media.
If,
Oh, yeah,
if
yeah.
they're on enough, if they're on enough.
If they're on enough, yeah.
And see, this is what made it easy to get these in, and, you know, the same with when I put the yellow stripes. You'll notice this one's not very nice, I did that on purpose so you could see that you can paint over, you can't watercolor over Prismacolor pencils because they're so, oily, but you can paint over them. So I can go back and refine my line making.
So you can put the acrylic on top of the
I can,
pencil? Okay.
yep.
You can also put oils on top of acrylic. You can't do the reverse though.
Right,
You can't put acrylic on top of oil. But you can put, like for instance, you could have a gesso background, which is acrylic, and then paint oil over that.
But you choose to use the pencils there, why?
to refine marks that I don't feel like playing with a small brush.
More, easier to see.
I think it's fun, and a lot of times that's what I'm going, you know, when I create, I'm looking for fun. It's a relief, and
Yep.
and I, you know, love the exploration of just experimenting with stuff.
I gotta make sure I hold this down right. Oil can go over acrylic, but acrylic can't go over oil?
That's
Correct.
right, because think about it, think of your salad dressing, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a oil base and you go to pour water on it, it's gonna repel it. But if you have a water base, oil can go, picture
I like
that,
your
go over
analogies.
that.
That's
Good
a-
seasons.
That's a great, I gotta use that in may I use that in my
Sure,
teaching also?
anything.
See, now I remember it.
Yeah, that's a great way of saying it. I never thought of that.
Yeah, when you paint the house, you can put oil down and then put acrylic on top.
Yes, I found that out, and
Yeah.
that, I had my porch painted wrong one year because something wasn't supposed to go over something else, and it did, and
I have
That's
like an
true.
old house built in 1765 in Woburn here.
wow.
And when they sold it to me, somebody had put a painted whitewash over it, okay? And in like not even 3 years' time, 2 years' time, it all peeled up.
Oh,
So I had somebody come in and paint it over again. They painted it with Benjamin Moore, the best, and this and that, put
Yeah.
primer on it. With 2 or 3 years, it started coming up again.
oh,
Finally, the third time, me and my wife were out there scraping and doing everything and this and that, did the same thing. Until I looked, I said, something's wrong here. Because the house was originally stained,
oh,
and you can't,
oil,
yeah,
Yeah.
and you can't paint
Yeah, over
over,
stain.
over stain. So, we stained the house and it's,
Mm.
where we couldn't get the paint up is peeling a little bit, but that's, we've had it for like 6 years now without worrying too much about it.
Oh, interesting.
Cost a lot of money to repaint that house.
oh, I can imagine.
Excuse me.
But I'm gonna paint the sky in back of there so you can kind of see what happens when I go up and redo in there.
I'm sorry.
going for a soft brush because, I want to not make strokes. Probably just gonna try the tiniest bit of phthalo with it. Almost imperceptible, and maybe a tiny bit of alizarin. Give it a little pinkish. Now is when I can come around here. Get that right down where it belongs. I'm gonna get this down too. Refine the blue.
That's tough to get the same color again.
It's not the same, but because of the illustration board, by the time I scumble it out, it'll match.
Got it.
So we get another great.
Smush over.
And see how it doesn't match, but by the time I do a little of this, I'm coming in so it just looks like the sky got lighter.
Scumble, is that a real word in art?
It is. Scumbling, how I tell my kids, my students to learn scumbling, I'll say scumbling is, because when I tried to say scumble, I should hear your brush, they weren't getting it until the day I said, pretend you have to push every last bit of paint out of your brush as hard as you can. That's scumbling. Did that work? I can just tighten up these edges. Pop some in there. And then I'd fuss with this. I'll fuss with this more at home. But I wanted you to see, you know, going back in what you're capable of. I want to bring the road down. I don't care for where the horizon, as I put the road in it through. And I'm going to take it back now. Knock it backwards a little bit. I want
It's
it
all the
lower.
fine tuning at the end. It's all the fine tuning at the
Right.
end.
Makes me wanna be at the beach.
Yeah, my beach, yeah.
I think that house overlooks the ocean, right?
Yeah. Now I'll just kind of try to get rid of that mark now that it's had a little bit of a coating. And again, what's nice about the illustration board is it's uneven, so even when I do my tweaks, they can work. I'll just kind of get over on this side a little bit and put a little bit of this in.
Will you eventually put the sign and the trees in?
Oh, yeah. The sign I'll end up doing with, I'll paint it and then I'll refine the edges with the colored pencil. And that comes out pretty good. And I want to try to get the feeling of light up into here. I'll play around with a little cad red light at first, and probably some yellow ochre. So I was looking for a color relationship, but usually if I put it in one area, I look to see if I can put it in another. I don't really see anywhere, but I'm going to make the piece more unified. I will pick up some of that cad red light, and since I can't really use it anywhere else, I'm gonna pop it into the window over here and make a relationship, so when your eye travels, it's got the relationship and you really don't know why you're looking. You know, I want your eye to meander. And then normally you saw me make strokes this way for the road. I want this to lay down. So I'm gonna do my strokes this way and get this to lay down.
I've always heard always do things in odd numbers. Do you, like that orange, do you try to put it 3 places or you're okay with 2?
No, I just want a relationship.
Okay.
I would do 3 if I'm doing a still life. If I'm working with a tree, like if there's only 2 trees, I'll make a 3rd tree. Because what happens with the purpose of the odd numbers is if you, say you have a still life and you have a teapot and a cup. The idea is capture the viewer and keep them in your work. The longer they stay in your work, the more chance you have of selling that piece. So they look at teapot, cup, I am bored, I'm out. Whereas if you go teapot, cup, strawberry, there's your triangle, you make a triumvirate, and you just keep going and going, and then if I did use a strawberry, I'd make sure strawberry was in the cup or reflected on it, and I'd put some relative color in the back, so that you can't, the idea is don't let people escape.
Right.
Why I love roads is typically they lead you right in, they just pull you in, and I love doing them when they're, if you look, the bottom quarter of this is just purple, it's just a purple road. Same with this, if you look at this bottom third, it's just some stripes and gray, but, and yet when you take it away and look at that little bit of rest of it, it's, to me, it's interesting. Same with that, you know, most of them are just, it's such a, to me, it's an easy way to paint.
So you've sold a lot of roads.
I have a road series, and I've sold a lot. People love roads, they relate to it. I paint what I love. It gets confusing sometimes if I'm having a show or I'm participating in a show. My brain can get crazy on me, like I'll start trying to think of what I want to paint, and I'll go, oh, you know, I really want to make that horse in that pasture, and then I'll think, oh no, because maybe those people aren't, you know, they start doing that. Well, no, what would the viewer want? And if you do that, your heart's not going to be in it. You're going to try to predict what somebody's going to want, and you can't. But if you do what you love, we're all sharing that human experience. Somebody else must love it too. So you kind of just go with what you like, make it your strength, and don't listen to that head. That's me, talking to myself. Don't listen. I'm going to come in, half, quarter, and start to put that little fence in.
Road to bliss.
And I'm not gonna go too far with this, because it's something I'm gonna wanna slow down and really, measure a lot better with. But
We only have a little bit of time
Oh,
left
boy.
anyhow.
Perfect.
Save by about.
But that's basically where that's gonna be sitting in there. And those, I find these are fun to work with too, the guardrails, I love them.
You have to know your perspective really good.
Well, it's the halves and quarters, you know. Okay, I'll start.
Alright.
Thank you.
I have to say personally, this is one of the best demonstrations we've
Yeah.
had. I'm telling you, she's
Thank you.
fantastic job, and everything that you say and everything, I have some students here myself that you backed everything I said up.
Thanks.
Plus, you did remarkable work in this short time, so, and that's beautiful,
Thank you.
beautiful.
I appreciate it.
Everybody,
I love the cars, they look so real.
Yeah.
They
I
were
know,
so
with the
fun. I have a
reflection.
lot
In
of cars.
Yeah, with the
all your
reflections,
different
yeah.
pictures, I just love those cars.
I'll tell you, to get the cars, so a lot of times we have a symbol in our head, and if you start thinking cars, you're gonna go back to your little kid car symbol. So in order to really see what they do, I'll take my painting this way,
Oh.
and I will, or this way, and I'll go, what do I see? These polka dots line up, there's a stripe, and I work it upside down, and then I turn it around, and they're exactly where I want them to be.
Wow.
So I always work on those upside down.
Isn't that interesting?
These I did because for me, these were easy to see because they're big. Same here, you know, just flip it
They look so
upside
real
down.
with the way you've got the shine and the reflection.
And the reflections.
Thank
yeah.
you. That's a road up out of Amesbury, the barking dog.
Yeah.
We've been there.
This one was fun because I had Danny had a board and I stretched, someone gave me this stuff, like vinyl tablecloth. No, it's not archival. But I just love the texture. And it's kind of ominous. Like it's kind of scary, like what's going on in that car? I didn't really want to pass that car. But I love painting on weird surfaces, obviously.
Very good.
Thank you, thank you. That was fun.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Susan. You
You're
did
welcome. Thank you.
fantastic tonight.
Thank you.
Everybody really appreciated it, especially me.
Nice to see you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet
you
you
very
too.
much.
And I hope to see you next month.
Yeah.